Right, Shane, we got to move it along here, and we got a big one here in the SEC West because Texas A&M, my goodness, Shane, Mike Elko and his
Oof.
defense won them the day, beats the Auburn Tigers 20-3. Auburn was red hot coming into this thing, yet it was the Aggie defense, and that 12th man really got to Bo Nix, made him look a lot like the Bo Nix we had seen in years past, and maybe even against that Georgia State game. The Texas A&M front just dominated the line of scrimmage, Shane. Auburn did not have a single play that went longer than 12 yards.
Oof,
No,
I know.
excuse me, 15 yards. But still, 15 yard
Doesn't
is your
matter.
longest play of the day. But again, on the other side, Texas A&M, it's not like their offense was lighting it up. Otherwise, this thing could have been a blowout. The only defense scored was scored by Mike Elko's defense when Michael Clemens picked up the Bo Nix. He just dropped it, and it was returned, scoop and score touchdown. That was the biggest play of the game for the Aggies. And, I know Zach Calzada's not lighting it up here, 15 of 29, 192, but if you missed it, man, it looked like he had a separated shoulder, something like his arm just it went dead on him. And this the second time this season I said, well, good run for Calzada, but his season's done. And then he missed 2 plays. He come storming out of the locker room. He's back on the field. My goodness. Someone tweeted out Calzada, if his face gets ripped off, it's going to be revealed he's a Terminator. But that's kind of what it feels like because he is one gutty player. And Isaiah Spiller, 112 rushing yards on 21 carries. He was outstanding. But the story of the day, Shane's got to be this Aggie defense just completely corralling the Auburn Tigers, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You made Bo Nix look like you made him look like Bo Nix. That's the problem. is he is so up and down, man. There's one week he looks like a Heisman candidate, and the next you're like, just get rid of him, bench him, get him in the portal, do something, and you do that by, it seems like loud crowds, trigger something. I think about that Auburn-Florida game a couple years ago. That was a violent crowd, and Bo was all over the place. Here we thought, man, Bo's going to be the guy. He's going to come out. No. As soon as but then sometimes he shines. It's just, it really is. It's hit or miss. It's like my ex-girlfriend, kind of just, you don't know who's going to show up. But anyway, man, I think that was the key right there was the defense. These guys came in with a fantastic plan. Elko and the boys, they knew they had Bo Nix pinned, and that's exactly what happened here. Able to get 3 points. It wasn't a fun game to watch, man. Whenever you got a quarterback that averages 3.7 yards a pass, it's going to be a rough weekend, and that's exactly what it is. So, are you discouraged, Mike? Are you discouraged if you're an Auburn fan? You had a lot of momentum after that Ole Miss win. Where do you go from here? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to be discouraged because you felt almost like a team of destiny there for a minute. I didn't see a single Auburn fan picking the Tigers to lose this one, and of course, fans always believe in their team, but I would have thought there'd be a little bit more skepticism going up to Kyle Field, a place that Auburn has, in fairness, won every time they've played there, but they were expecting a win, Shane, and I know the score was never lopsided. It was 6-3, 9-3. It was like a baseball game there for a while, but at no point did it really feel like Auburn was ever in control in this one. It just felt like they were just getting dominated by the Aggies and that incredible defense, and I think they set the tone, and that's pretty much all it was. And it's pretty bad in the post game. You're getting asked if you thought about bringing in TJ Finley to provide a spark because he's done that before. But again, this is a week after you outdueled Matt Corral, who may be the best quarterback in the country. So
I know.
We have got to get good Bo back here because that's the only way that Auburn stands a chance. And maybe if nothing else, it just shows that this Auburn team, without Bo Nix being productive, they just don't have the pieces outside of an outstanding trio of running backs. They just don't have the offensive line. They just don't have the receivers to compete against such an elite defense unless their quarterback carries them like he did against LSU.
Absolutely, man. just when I'm starting to believe, just when I'm like, okay, man, they are controlling their own destiny. They went out. They beat Bama. Bama's not that. I mean, Bama, we're going to get to them here in a minute. They can be beat. And maybe this is the year that Auburn does it. And that's what I kept saying to myself. It felt like it was, you remember a few years back when they beat Alabama and then they went to an SEC championship? Nobody was expecting them to be in the SEC championship. You know what I'm saying? It felt like that was kind of a mirror to this year. Just win out. They keep finding ways to win. Who cares? Sometimes it's Tank, sometimes it's Bo, but maybe it's the defense. Somebody always steps up to win the game, and just unfortunately, no one did in this one.
Yeah, and if I'm an Aggie fan, Shane, it was the second year in a row Jimbo's team looks to be getting better and better as the season comes. You just hope that it, not like last year where you're on the outside looking in. You do need Alabama to lose. That would have really capped your weekend if you're an Aggie, if LSU would have found a way. We'll get to that game in a moment. That would have catapulted A&M to number one in the West. But certainly looks like that is a possibility as long as we got a big game here next weekend too, Shane. Texas A&M at Ole Miss. College game day is going to be there. But that should be one hell of a showdown.
Wait, is there like UTEP or somebody they can go cover, Mike? Huh? Is there ain't there another 6-loss team they can see? I mean, come on now. Game day's so dumb sometimes. But, hey, I want to ask you, Mike, real quick before we move on. Texas A&M, take the record off, right? Just if you are power ranking the programs in the country, where do they fit? If you were trying to, and I'm trying to get to the college football playoffs here, 4 teams, are they in or out? Forget the record, just pure talent, what they've been able to show at this moment, the way they're playing football, are they a top 4 team?
I would say no, but that is just only because we just don't know what we're getting from Zach Calzada. You know what I mean? And he's gutting it out. I'm not saying he's bad or anything like that, but if he plays like he did against Alabama, yes, I would firmly put them in that top 4. But he's had a lot of down performances too. I think back to Mississippi State, this game right here. I know he's hurt, he's banged up. He needs to get a little bit better, and that certainly seems to be coming with experience. But until we know what we're getting from the quarterback position, I think I would have him just on the outside looking in, maybe the top 6, something like that.
Okay. Well, and one last question, Mike, because it's all over my feed right now. You're an insider. Is Jimbo leaving Texas A&M? Is he going to LSU? Is this even a possibility?
You know what I think this is, Shane?
What's that?
I think this is
a segue.
No, sir. No, not at all. I think this is LSU wanting that to be known to take attention off their real target, who is everything I keep hearing is Mel Tucker, the Michigan State coach, former Georgia, former Alabama assistant. So I think I think that's what it is. Because last time I checked, Shane, I don't know if you saw this. I assume you did. 5-star Walter Nolan, defensive lineman, commit to the Aggies. According to one service, I think it's On 3 Sports, the Aggies have the number 1 recruiting class in the country right now. They've got a 5-star quarterback committed, Connor Weigman. I like where I'm at if I'm Jimbo. I'll just say it that way,
The grass ain't greener. I think I'm with you. That's why I keep hearing. I'm like, this can't be right. Why would I just? It doesn't make sense to me. You can win national championships at Texas A&M, Mike. I mean, they're doing it. They're getting there. They're getting the talent in. They're messing up on a few games each year, but one of these days they're going to catch them all right.
Jimbo, you mentioned the sliding part. I guess is that just instinctual, or is there a way you can coach him into doing that?
We coach him to do it, and we do it and talk about it. And I think just instincts took over. I think the competitive nature took over. You know what I'm saying? Because we'd had a couple penalties right there, wanted a touchdown. That was the last guy on the draw before we come out, and I think his instincts just took over. And I'd rather his instincts not, because right now our situation there, he just got to get down. But you respect him for what he did and how he did it. But at the same time, you got to be smart there. But that's just we talk about it, and he knew it when he came over.
Yeah, Coach, what was kind of the initial prognosis and how surprised or not surprised, Reed, that Zach was able to come back in and play?
Well, they said he popped it. I mean, sometimes your shoulders, I've had them, you pop them out or get a little sprain right there. But if your strength is still, they test, you can test this. You wouldn't have put him in if there wasn't no strength and anything in it to be able to function. And he still had all of his strength, and sometimes it happens like that. And so he was good.
Yeah, and I mean, just when you were in the tent, how much pain did he appear to be in?
A little bit. Well, it was more on the field when they popped it back in, I think. When they popped it back in. But that, hey, listen, that's ball, man. I don't mean that in any disrespect. I mean it in pure respect. That's football. This game is a physical, tough game. When that leader's tough, the rest of them play tough too. And, but here's what gets me. You can do that and get a delayed game. You can do that and get a delayed game. But you can call a snap count and it ain't a penalty. Ain't that amazing? When you're down there on the goal line when they're calling your snap count. I mean, I'm sick and tired of it, man. You're gonna call all that garbage and then not do that, and why I can't hear it? You couldn't hear the slap or anything else. And then we told them in the first half it was going on. So if anybody wants to, trust me, I'm going to call them tomorrow. We're going to have a conversation. I'm sick and tired of it.
Second row, Olin, and then Kirk on the right.
That's big right there on the 5 and then do it twice and have it done and was told in the first half it didn't and have those penalties. That's ridiculous. But you call it for Alabama 3rd and 8 when they're driving to win it.
All right, Olin.
So, Jimbo, were you frustrated at the penalties on?
No, I was frustrated there. It's just that I was told. That's not penalties, and we still can't listen to them. But it's just, I'm sick of it. I thought it was supposed to be fair.
I was just being facetious, but what I wanted to ask you about is.
Well, I wasn't in the mood to be facetious. How about that?
Yes, Brian, you touched on this a little bit, but the fine margins, is that something you can talk to your team about? For instance, you got the missed field goal, the scoop and score, the long pass by them that led to a field goal. That's just 3 plays that, might have changed the way this game looked in the fourth quarter.
I think it's always that. It's always those 4 to 6 plays that happen in a game that change the momentum of the game, and ones that you don't know when they're going to happen. You just got to be ready for them. And so that's why everybody talks about 4 quarters of football. You just never know when those things are going to happen throughout a game. So you want to play consistent. You want to play good football. And we didn't have enough explosive plays. They had a few. They were able to create the momentum. The big one is when we fumble the ball and they're able to score on defense. That's a big play. That's a momentum changer right there, and you got to be able to recover from that. And what has to happen is when things go against you, you got to find a way to recover. You got to come back, and it's on to the next series. That play is over. We're on to the next drive. We got to execute there. We got to get ourselves back into the game, and we weren't able to do that. We weren't consistent enough from that standpoint to overcome some of those plays tonight that were negative plays for us. And if you're going to win games each and every week, especially in this league, you got to be able to overcome those plays. Things are going to happen. There'll be negative plays, but you've got to be able to respond and come back and create your own positive plays, move the ball, and respond to what happened. We didn't do that tonight.
Coach, you mentioned not being able to find that spark offensively tonight. Was there a point how do you assess quarterback play, and was there a point tonight where you considered going to TJ Finley for that spark like you did against Georgia State?
As far as the momentum goes, felt like Bo, could get us back in the game, that we could get that spark. I mean, that's something that he's shown and we've done throughout the season. We just didn't get it. We had some penalties. We had some things that, we didn't help ourselves with. We had a couple drops in some critical situations. About the time you're trying to get some momentum, you're moving the ball, you're kind of getting ready to get past the 50-yard line and create some plays, hopefully on that side of the field that can get us, into scoring position, and we just weren't able to do that.
We'll finish